In this video, I will be spending the next 100 days in Cobblemon. This will be my first time playing Cobblemon in over 5 months, and a lot has changed since then. For example, there's a Mega Pokémon now. Okay, well, not really. They're only available on Cobblemon Islands, the sponsors of today's video. They have tons of cool features and lots of models of Pokemon that aren't even officially out yet from the actual Cobblemon mod itself. But more on that later. My goals for the next 100 days will be fairly simple. I need to get a strong team of Pokemon, catch at least 3 legendary Pokemon, and have my final battle against the server owner on day 100. Will I be able to complete all of my goals and become a true Cobblemon champion? Watch till the end to find out. And without further ado, let's start my adventure. When I first loaded into the server, I was given the choice of choosing my starter Pokemon. I, of course, went ahead and picked my favorite starter Pokemon, which was Trico. I spent the first day just wandering around the hub, seeing what the server had to offer before randomly teleporting into the wild, which in this case means dropping down somewhere randomly with a parachute. Once I landed safely, I ran around exploring the wonderful world of Cobblemon, coming across various different blocky Pokemon on the way, and even had my first Cobblemon battle against an Azurill, which I ended up winning with ease. I continued training up around this river against the water-type Pokemon until my Trico evolved into Grovyle. As it was nighttime, many mobs started spawning around me. I didn't think much of it at first, but it soon became a bit hectic. I even witnessed a creeper blow up an innocent Bidoof. I realized how unforgiving the night can be, and my next plan of action was to find a nice place for me to build my base at. So I started walking around the world and came across a wild Ludicolo that just started attacking me for no reason, and then continued to chase me. I was running as fast as I could, but it was no use. I decided to just turn around and start swinging my sword at it until I finally killed Ludicolo. What I just did might not be morally right, but to be fair, it was self-defense. Anyways, moving on, I found a wild Roggenrola that I ended up catching for my team, and finally found a nice plot of land to start building my house at. It took me a while to gather all the materials, but in the end I was able to finish building my house. And now I wanted to go out and catch more Pokemon. It only took me a couple of minutes, and I already found this wild Gimmighoul, which I happily caught for my team. But as I was hanging around my house, a strange individual approached me. They brought me back to spawn and guided me around for a while, eventually gifting me both a level 20 Charcadet as well as a level 1 Aerodactyl, which at the time I thought would be very useless, but literally after one Pokemon battle against a wild Gigalith, Aerodactyl grew to level 19, which was just crazy. To make my team even stronger, I wanted to evolve Gimmighoul, and apparently all it needed was a single gold block. So I went down into the mines to search for some gold ore, and was surprised to see a fully enchanted iron pickaxe inside of a barrel. This made mining for gold super easy, and I was able to return back home and feed Gimmighoul a gold block, causing it to evolve into Goldengo. For the next few days, I set off on a journey to explore and see what Cobblemon had to offer. The first thing I came across on my adventure was this huge village, where I found a couple of extra Pokeballs as well as a crate key. Thinking it was abandoned, I was surprised to see that someone had an entire base in this village. Of course, I made myself at home by crafting myself a diamond pickaxe, which I later enchanted. When I went back home to store my items, I saw a chest outside of my house which was actually left by Banana. You know, the guy who gave me the 2 Pokemon earlier. Inside of the chest, I found a bit of money alongside a PC as well as a stack of Quick Balls. Anyways, back to the adventure. I wandered around for a while before arriving in the land of Wano. I saw this huge castle on top of the mountains and just knew I had to climb up to see what was inside. However, once I made my way up there, I looked inside of the castle and was left to be disappointed as it was completely empty. So I again randomly teleported into the wild and luckily landed close to a wild dino, which I ended up catching. I also spotted a couple of abandoned Poké Centers that actually had chests filled with tons of loot inside of them. I spent about an entire day ransacking every Poke Center I saw and was left with lots of EXP candies which I gave to Roggenrola that ended up evolving into Boldore, as well as having just enough left over to evolve my Grovyle into Sceptile. Now that I had some strong Pokemon, I wanted to travel to the End Dimension, and in order to do that, I'd need to gather up 12 Eyes of Ender. But first, let me go down into the caves and mine some obsidian to build myself a nether portal. I also spent some time mining for diamonds so that I could craft myself some strong armor, and all that was left to do now was to light up the portal and enter the nether dimension. Once I was in the nether, I started looking for a fortress, but this wouldn't be easy as I'd almost be killed by a Centiskorch just a few seconds after I entered the nether. Luckily, I was able to escape and found a nether fortress just a couple minutes later. Unfortunately, there were no blaze spawners left in this fortress, so I'd have to run around waiting for blazes to just spawn naturally, which took a long time. So I ended up just leaving the fortress and started to farm some ender pearls from endermen, but I may or may not have jumped straight into lava. So I guess we're just back at the house with only one Eye of Ender, which just so happened to break the moment I threw it. Now, I would be kind of upset. However, I found out I could have just bought ender pearls and blaze rods the entire time. Anyways, moving on, I used the Eyes of Ender to finally locate the stronghold, where I would find the end portal. And for some reason, I wasn't allowed to place the Eye of Ender into the portal frame. At this point, I thought the end was disabled. However, I soon realized I could have warped into the end dimension the entire time. But hey, I was finally in the end and even got to the Outer End Islands, but I decided to put off exploring the end for later as I really wanted to train up my Pokemon and get better gear. I started by completing this quest of defeating 15 wild Pokemon. It didn't take too long, and my reward ended up being 10 diamonds, which I used to make myself full diamond armor. Now I did some exploring yet again, but I didn't really find anything interesting. So let's skip over to the next day where I'm back at spawn. I claimed my playtime rewards, which gave me a decent bit of money and Pokeballs. But also the server reached a community goal, and everyone received tons of crate keys. Unfortunately, the crates were extremely busy at the moment, so I decided to open them up later. For now, I trained up against strong wild Pokemon, and even accepted an easy Poke Hunt, where I had to find and catch a wild Zubat in a Premier Ball. This Poke Hunt wasn't too hard as Zubats were pretty common, and I got about $1,000 as my reward. Now I did go back to spawn in an attempt to open up the crates. However, most of them were still crowded. I ended up only being able to open the plushie crate, which did give me some nice Pokemon plushies, before falling asleep and waking up the next day and seeing no one at spawn. This allowed me to open up the main Poke crates pretty easily and getting lots of very valuable items, such as a Master Ball. I was extremely happy with the items I got and stored them in my chests back home. And now it was time for adventure! I wanted to search far and wide for better Pokemon, and to help me on my quest is this horse that I just tamed. I decided to name it Brick, and together we ran thousands of blocks, until finally I found what I believe to be a shiny Gyarados. I did end up catching it, feeling very happy. However, I'll tell you right now, this wasn't a shiny Gyarados. As I was fighting some mobs at night, my game suddenly sent me back to the title screen. I logged on very confused, only to find out that I had somehow died? I didn't know what else to do and named the death coordinates after Brick as I wanted to reunite with him later on. But for now, I warped back to spawn as the spooky season had started, and the server spawn had changed to fit the occasion. I had also claimed the Wilson kit, and it was just funny to see my friend turned into a plushie. Now I was about to wander around the world again, until someone on the server had found an ancient city and allowed me to teleport to them. I had to be very careful when walking around as I did not want to spawn in the Warden. It also didn't help that I wasn't alone here, but regardless, I found so many rare items in so many chests, most of them being EXP candy, which would help level up my Pokemon. Eventually, I came across the Warden, but luckily it was chasing someone else and it didn't really care about me, so I kind of just walked away from it, looted a few more chests until finally warping back home. I used the EXP candies I found to evolve Dino all the way to Hydreigon, and then gave the rest to Sceptile and Goldango as I wanted to keep them for my battle against the server owner. I knew that I wanted to replace a couple of my Pokemon, so I began searching for better Pokemon that I can use for my team. My search led me to weird places, but eventually I found a Mismagius that I caught to replace my Aerodactyl. I also realized that I had a Link Cable Stone which I used on my Boldor so that it could evolve into Gigalith. When I went back to spawn, I talked to this NPC and claimed my Captain Kit, which gave me way too many items, and used up all 20 crate keys that the kit gave me. This gave me so much money, and I immediately opened up the GTS to see if I could buy any legendary Pokemon. But sadly the only legendary Pokemon I could buy was Moltres, which is just not worth it. Returning back to spawn, there was a parkour event, and I was determined to win. I kept on falling over and over again, but in the end I was able to make it and get second place in the parkour event. But then I found out this wasn't an official event, so sadly there was no prize. Back to hunting for better Pokemon, I came across a wild Gible, which is something I really wanted for my team, as having a Garchomp would be awesome. Unfortunately, I only had a few rare candies left, but at least I got it to evolve into Gabite. After evolving Gible, I went back into the Nether to see what Pokemon I could find, but what I would come across would be no Nether structure I've ever seen before. It looked as if it were a mix between a bastion and a castle, so just in case, I held on to my enchanting golden apples and slowly made my way through the castle, where I found ancient debris. This made me lower my guard, and the moment I mined the block, TNT fell directly onto my head, giving me the heart attack of a lifetime. The room was later swarmed by a couple of piglins, which proved to be no challenge, and once I looted every other chest I could find, I made my way back to the overworld. I started to look through the GTS and see what kind of legendary Pokemon I can buy. However, I was too broke to afford anything, so I started selling my items on the GTS. While I was waiting for my items to be bought, I discovered an end portal just under spawn and decided I was geared enough to head straight in and look for an end city. Navigating through the end wasn't too difficult. You just had to carefully bridge from one island to another, and after some time I did spot an end city. Going through the end city wasn't too difficult. The only enemy I encountered were a couple of shulkers that didn't do much other than annoy me by giving me levitation effects. I was able to score some good loot from the chest, but sadly the Elytra was already taken from the end ship. I decided to leave that end city and look for another, but surprisingly my screen was filled with text saying that a legendary Pokemon was nearby. I frantically ran around to see where this legendary Pokemon was, and finally I found it. That legendary Pokemon was Palkia, and I wasn't gonna risk my life, so I threw a Master Ball at it and finally had my first legendary Pokemon. And to finish this day off, I also got my own Ninten% plushie. I just thought I'd mention this as it looked really cute. For the next few days, I didn't really do much. I only explored a little bit and mainly focused on training up my Gabite until it gained enough levels to evolve into Garchomp. But now that I had two Pokemon that could Mega Evolve, I thought it would be perfect to go ahead and craft myself a Mega Band. The materials were definitely not cheap, having to sacrifice 2 netherite ingots as well as a Master Ball. Anyways, I spent this day netherite mining as I already had a Master Ball, and once I gathered all the materials needed, I was able to craft myself the Mega Band. For day 51, I took it easy and just gave all of my Pokemon EXP candies. This gave my team a huge buff, and I was able to get Sceptile to level 100. Realizing how close my entire team was to level 100, I spent my time training up against wild Pokemon, but even after hours, it barely gave me any levels. So I kid you not, I just resorted to buying more rare candies, and now technically I had my entire team to level 100. On this day when I checked the GTS, I saw a couple of affordable legendary Pokemon for sale. Eventually, I settled for this Heatran, which I thought would be a perfect fit for my team as I lacked any fire types. I also really wanted to get myself a Mega Stone, but sadly the Mega Quests were still unavailable. But then I received a message from the server admins. If I'm able to complete their own set of challenges, they promised to give me a Sceptolite. I looked at the things they wanted me to do and it seemed fairly simple. The first of my challenges was to catch 10 unique grass type Pokemon. I guess this fit with the theme of getting a Mega Stone for my Sceptile. But this was too easy. I was already able to finish this task after a single day. However, my next task wouldn't be so easy, as I need to slay the Wither. Now, slaying the Wither was one thing, but getting the Wither skulls to summon the Wither was another. This ended up taking so many hours, trying to get just one Wither skull, but I continued to persevere, getting another Wither skull in the process. Until finally, after hours of grinding, I had all three in my hand. Now, before summoning the Wither, I made sure to prepare by buying netherite ingots for my armor, as well as stocking up on some arrows. Once I found the perfect place, it was time to fight the Wither. I might have slightly underestimated its strength, as it was quick to drain me of my health. However, I was prepared with enchanted golden apples that I had to eat, otherwise I would be dead. I kept on trying to run away and shoot my arrows at it to deal damage, but then it sort of just flew down to my level, so I swung like a madman trying to kill it before it killed me. And I guess that worked out, as I was able to defeat the Wither. Thankfully, the only other task I had left after that was to catch every single unique unknown. This was not hard at all, as they were a fairly common spawn in the end. It did take a bit of time though, but in the end I had every single unknown. And when I returned back home, as promised, I found a chest with a Septolite. I immediately Mega Evolved my Sceptile and started to wipe out the wild Pokemon with relative ease. This made me extremely happy. Now all that was left to do is to catch one more legendary Pokemon, so I started my legendary Pokemon hunt by fishing, because apparently you can fish up for legendary Pokemon such as Walking Wake. I tried to fish for hours, but as exciting as fishing for Pokemon was, I just wasn't able to fish up a legendary Pokemon. And at this point, I decided to scrap the entire fishing thing and went straight into the Nether because, I don't know, I was desperate. And last time I had a Palkia spawn on me in the end, so I was curious to see what could spawn on me in the Nether. As I was exploring, I stumbled upon a new custom nether biome that was completely covered in quartz. Of course, it wasn't just all quartz, as I ended up finding this huge castle that, well, was made out of a lot of quartz. I didn't find anything really interesting in here, but there was a basement underneath the castle, and as I started walking through the tunnels, it sort of reminded me of the back rooms. Unlike the back rooms, I'm able to easily mine my way out. Back to mindlessly running around the Nether, until finally a legendary Pokemon was nearby. I wasn't prepared and had to frantically open up OBS to record what ended up being a Chi-Yu. My idiot stupid brain forgot to bring a Master Ball with me, so I tried my best to throw quick balls at it, while also trying not to get killed by the blazes that were constantly shooting fireballs at me. Luckily, I was able to easily catch Chi-Yu after a few Pokeballs, and then immediately turned towards the blazes to unleash my wrath. Finally, I had caught all three legendary Pokemon, and now all that is left to do is to make my team as strong as possible for my battle against the server owner. First things first, I used some of my spare rare candies to get Heatran to level 100. Unfortunately, Chi-Yu was still missing about 46 levels, so I guess it's back to grinding against wild Pokemon. After a very long time, Chi-Yu was able to reach level 100, which meant that I had a full team of level 100 Pokemon. Now, with only a few days left, I wanted to make sure I would spend this time bringing Brick back to my base. You know, the horse that I had a couple days back. Well, it was time for the reunion and to see if he was still alive. Luckily, I randomly teleported close by and walked the rest of the distance till I reached this village. I looked around for a while, slowly losing hope as I couldn't find Brick anywhere. That was until I saw a horse in the distance. Thankfully, it was Brick, surprisingly still alive. Now I wanted to bring Brick back home, but I would have to travel over 15,000 blocks. It also didn't help that Brick was a slow horse. Now one of the biggest obstacles I encountered while transporting Brick back home was the ocean. Sadly, you can't put horses onto boats, so I had to resort to other less ethical ways. PETA, don't sue me. Anyways, I finally brought Brick back to my house, ending this adventure on a good note. And I mean, I didn't really do much afterwards other than building a small battle arena in front of my house where the final battle would take place, and then did some last minute exploring around the world, not really finding anything though. But hey, would you look at that, it is day 100 now. The time for the final battle is here, and all I had to do is contact the server owner now. And there he was, just flying around. Okay, he's stepping into my very small arena. Okay, it looks like we're not gonna use this arena here. Whoa! Okay, I've just been teleported. This looks 10 times better than what I had in my base. Okay, day 100, we're finally here. Can we win? I don't know, but we've been preparing for the last 100 days, and it's time to do our final battle. Hopefully, we win. Okay, it looks like the Pokemon battle started. Oh, my Mega Sceptile against his Garchomp. Okay. Gonna go with Leaf Storm. Hopefully that does a lot of damage. Oh, that almost one-shot. Okay, there we go. I defeated his Garchomp. Okay, he sent out his Charizard. I might switch into Heatran. I don't know if this is a good switch. I'll Ancient Power, 4 times effective. Oh, it did not work. I'll switch out to Palkia then. I'm gonna go with Spatial Rend. Wait, he switched to Tinkaton. Okay, that's a Steel type. So I'm gonna switch out to Goldango. Okay, he's switching. Okay, I substituted. Let's go. It worked. So I'm substituted right now, and I'm gonna go for Confuse Ray. Okay, it worked. Charizard is now confused. Go Shadow Ball. Yes, I killed his Charizard. He sent out Swampert again. I'm gonna Shadow Ball the Swampert. Kill that. Oh my goodness, Goldango is sweeping. He sent out Buzzwole. No, Goldango. Okay, I think it's time we send out Chi-Yu here. I believe Chi-Yu is faster. I'm gonna go for the Overheat. No, he sent out Iron Bundle. Oh, Iron Bundle got one shot. I'm gonna go for Ruination to half his HP down. Okay, I'll just Overheat and win, right? He dabbed? No, Chi-Yu died. Okay, let's send out Heatran. Heatran will use Earth Power. Please die. Oh, yes! We defeated Tinkaton. Oh, we won the battle! I have defeated the server owner. Yay! Yay! He's dropping fireworks. Hit that subscribe button if you want to watch more 100-day videos, and I guess I'll see you guys later. Bye!